votre au quotidien. C'est sur Taïwan.
SonarFeed! Woo! Yeah. Welcome to SonarFeed! Episode 267, Tacoma Wednesday! Let's go!
Oh, yeah.
Woo!
I actually wouldn't mind that one.
Tom, you know why it's called episode 267?
Because it's after 266.
No, that's how many kids
We're starting right in now.
Weigel's up to.
One a week.
1 week for
Yeah, I think we might be talking
5
about your
years.
wife more than you.
Your wife is literally going to beat the shit out of us.
She doesn't watch the show.
Good. Anyway, welcome.
Yeah, welcome, y'all.
Two.
What's up, boys?
Welcome to SonarFeed.
There we go. Yeah.
Where are we again?
We're at the Berliner Pub just off of 3rd and Main in downtown Renton.
Ahead of the
We
curve.
nailed it this week. It's been a little while. Yeah, everybody here had a hot toddy except me and Mickey.
And Hugo.
Also true.
Too late.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Episode 267, we're going to talk about some things. We're going to address the Tacoma
Wednesday.
announcement. And talk about preseason, talk about the Christian Roldan national team. Not his performance, it's just his national team now.
I mean, it kind of is his national team now.
It was last night.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we got some stuff because it's preseason. I am all the way to your right, all the way to our left. I'm Dave Clark. You can find me at Better Than on Twitter. To my right, yeah, my right,
Your
your left,
Your left.
is
Mickey Turner ESQ on the Twitters.
Yeah.
subscribe on Patreon.
Pay Mickey all the money.
All the money.
Or just a couple of dollars.
all the money.
Tom Bureau, a.k.a. Bougie Hooli.
Hugo Garcia, a.k.a. maybe the Seattle.
He makes Burian better.
And as your centrist candidate, I'm Charles Schultz.
Charles
Howard.
Schultz.
Howard.
So close.
Good grief. Did I do it right for you, Tom?
It actually worked.
We're today's members
Eileen
of
wants to
SonarFeed.
know if they have hot water now, and the answer is no. We lied to Dave. That's a nice Chardonnay, Mickey
Ooh,
Turner.
It is, man.
What are you?
Class things
Are you
up.
on that wine?
Monday
Yes,
for,
I'm on that
On that wine.
train.
We're going to tell
for
Steve.
Mr. Turner. Wine Monday.
Emily says she'd rather vote for Charles Schultz anyway.
He'd just pull that nuclear football away from everybody.
No.
Just end the show.
7 out of 10.
Unplug
It's a 7 out
it.
of 10.
Anyway, so welcome everybody.
Yeah. Good to be back. Good to
Dig
be
it.
back.
Yep.
Thanks for making it down here to the Berliner. We've got some folks that aren't here every week. We've got some folks
But
that
they
are
should
always
be.
here
Yeah.
and hate on us when we aren't here.
That is
And I think I saw tequila or mezcal or something roll up. What was that?
Fireball.
Oh my
Fireball.
God! I can't actually.
The Cougar
tell
isn't
color
here today,
from
so we
here.
can't recognize Fireball.
Yeah.
I had tequila before I came.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not a
Let's go.
But my friends
I was like,
Fireball and
Of
tequila
my
is a
people.
I wasn't sure where that was going.
Fireball and tequila here.
sorry
with the
for not
front-
discerning
with
the
front
color.
row.
Couldn't discern the color of a dark liquor from where I'm sitting. My bad. I'll backlight you better next time.
Don't answer.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
This
It's a trap.
This is. Can you ship the Admiral Akbar?
So to
gift?
change the subject from Tom's impending doom, training camp opened last week after we talked to Steve Zakawani.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was last week, right?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, Steve?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago was Steve. We took a week off because we had Steve
MLK
In that too.
holiday.
and MLK.
Yeah.
And also because no one would have came because we're bad at making effort. Well, you would have came. No, I meant us.
Yes.
The guests would have came.
I mean,
So,
let's be
yeah.
fair. Mickey Turner would have been here because Mickey Turner shows up for free drinks.
Let's go.
It's that wine train.
Wine.
He's on that wine. So
What are some things we learned at training camp? Mickey, I'll start with you. You were there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
someone with information.
Play by player.
There were a lot of people there. There's
That was day one.
Allow
Day two, not
like,
so many.
Day two, like they won up. How many?
there are 43 people listed on the roster for the preseason training. That includes all of the first team S2 and a bunch of the academy kids and the draftees.
There's one trialist this year.
Oh,
Callie Brown.
Yeah, Callie Brown.
Callie
Yeah.
Brown.
And I think he's mostly there just to keep fit so we can land with somebody at some point. Unless, Dave, you've heard something else. But I think that's about it. So it doesn't sound like there's going to be any trialists really coming in this year because they're pretty damn deep and pretty damn good
Let's go.
so far.
Pretty darn good.
they've
And
looked-
pretty darn deep.
You know,
That's
for
how I
two
wanna start
practices,
out the
yeah.
year.
For two practices, they look really good. Rui Diaz is scoring goals.
How
Smith
did Jordan
is
look?
assisting.
How did Jordan look?
Jordan looked very
Scored
good.
a goal with his left foot.
Yeah, he scored a goal.
Small-sided. Small
Let's
goals.
go.
Yeah, so yeah, they look ready to go as much as you can 2 days
Right,
into the
right.
preseason, and obviously now they're down in California and will be in be in Arizona in a couple of weeks for some tournament games. I'm actually going to be down there.
Are you?
Not for Sounders directly, but I'll be able to catch the Portland game, so
Nice.
Nice.
that'll be pretty cool.
Some of the things we learned, we met Trey Muse for the first time. Dude is rather mature. He's only 20.
Wow.
And very calm and present. What else did we learn? Chris Little is now the head coach of the Tacoma whatevers. Tacoma
TVA.
Screw.
Tacoma. What is
TVA.
it?
Tacoma Screw Athletic United. Oh,
My God. If you were on NBC, you'd have to register that shit. You'd have to own the domain.
yeah. So Chris Little took charge. The keynotes for that to anyone are that he was already the director of coaching for the academy and the head coach for the U17 team that won the national title.
What?
So he is now the head coach because John Hutchinson goes back to his hometown down
country.
in Australia.
Jesus.
Where he'll be an assistant coach for a first team down there. Wade Weber's back. Josh Ford is back. And it'll be interesting because 7, maybe 8 of the academy kids played for Chris Little last year or the year before. 2 of the other ones played for Wade Weber when they were in the academy and obviously played for Wade Weber last year. The continuity is much greater. 14 of the 16 are coming back, and some of them have played for S2 in parts of 4 of the 5 years that it has existed. So those are key takeaways for the S2 be named on-field stuff that we just learned.
Did you just say S to be named?
Yeah. Do you read Sounder Heart? I use
Yes.
that all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, but you said it out loud and it's different.
It makes sense to you when I say it aloud?
Yeah. I'm super disappointed and pleased all at the same time. It's like I'm on the internet. Damn it, Dave.
Disappointed and happy at the same time?
Yeah.
all the time.
It's like when you read the Hell Scroll. Somebody called Twitter the
I'm
Hell
sorry,
Scroll.
Twitter. Yeah.
And
I was like, is
I
that
now
A
what
lot
you
don't
of
call it
D&D
Hell
reference
Scroll.
there.
yeah.
Right. Nailed it. They should rebrand.
What else?
Actually,
right now.
the other good thing,
I may go buy that domain.
Twitter.
I'll just
I think
redirect
Twitter's
it.
taken.
No, Hell Scroll.
Hellscroll.com and it just sends you to Twitter.
I feel there's something there.
I'm
There's
going to
something
sell
there.
it to Jack.
There's definitely something there. Actually, the other good thing about the Academy or S2 is that they look, in addition to being a year older, they're much deeper, so they will have a relatively full squad.
I'm going to have to
play
fact
in.
check Garth Lagerway when he said that he's like, yeah, so we have 16 players, which is more than we had last year. They ended with 18 last year.
Well, does that include all the call-ups and academies?
No,
Rundowns?
that was only
Guys,
their
Ugo's
fully,
recovery code is
that was only their fully
5.
professional. They had 18 signed to pro contracts at the USL level last year when they ended. But they also started the year with only 12. So it is larger than it was at the beginning of the year. And they'll probably sign 1 or 2 of the draftees, 1 or 2 of the academy kids, maybe 1 or 2 trialists or international guys as well. I wouldn't be surprised if when Tacoma takes the field on March 8th, they're close to 20 on the roster.
Yeah, they should be much better this year, just based on the fact that most of the purely S2 guys have a year more experience, and they will have a full roster to start the year. And so,
Who are some of the players that are coming back for sure?
Let's see. Alec Diaz signed at the end of last year, but
He already had some appearances.
yeah, had some appearances.
the-
Azrael Gonzalez and
Ezra Gonzalez has played in each of the last 2 seasons. Sam Rogers has 3 seasons of experience. Nick Hines is the one with 4. He only missed 1 year for college because he played the year before he left for college. Then he played the year that he did leave for college. He was only gone a single season, and then they signed him. This is his 4th year. Then he has over 3,000 S2 minutes. So does Sam Rogers. So does Denzo Ulysses. At least I think Hines had 3,000. I think it was those 3 with 3,000. Those are kind of the key guys to think of. Shannon Hopiau is in his 3rd year now, 2nd professional season. He ended the year as the captain. So it'll be he and Sam Rogers will probably be your captains.
How old is Sam now? 20?
He's on the U20 World Cup roster.
he probably turns 20 this year.
Yeah, so he and Trey Muse will almost certainly be loaned down almost on a permanent basis to S2 because the whole point to signing him was so he'd get minutes.
Right.
And being the backup to Stephen Fry doesn't get you minutes.
Right.
So yeah, they have 2 guys on the U20 World Cup roster. They have 2 guys that are candidates to be on the U17 World Cup roster. That's Ray Serrano and Alfonso Ocampo Chavez. And they have 2 guys that are unsigned but were on the U19 national team that met in Bradenton just recently. That's Sam Fowler and Blake Malone, both of who are with the club during preseason. So if one of them signs a pro deal, don't be surprised.
Yeah, we'll have to wait until they get back, obviously. They get back, I think, on the 4th of February, but they're only here for a day.
They only
It's
have 1 day of
train.
open practice. They have 2 days to relax.
Yeah.
In between their Orange County and Tucson swings.
Yeah, I think their practice is on the 5th, so if anybody wants to mark that down on the calendar to get a chance to see, that's the day they'll be practicing, and then they head to Arizona. And at least at that point, we'll get a look and see at who's left from the 40-man blob of a team that was out there on the first day, and we'll be able to see, specific figures and see who's still left or still left. So that's kind of all for practice. I mean, it's 2 days of practice.
Yeah, we only have
so
2
what
days.
you're saying is we're
training
talking
camp.
about practice?
Practice.
We should do a show every week, guys. This is great.
All right,
3 out of 4 weeks isn't
I'm
bad.
gonna. There, we got that topic.
So no like things coming out of training camp or like
Well,
people you were surprised to
there's-
see other than like Raul's
Dome.
short hair.
Dome. Love that.
There are
Big fan of
visa
that.
issues.
Yeah, there's people who are not there that we could probably
Yeah.
talk about.
Nuhu. What's up with Nuhu?
Let's work on
Let's start with the
least
good news.
significant to the most. Gustav Svensson was already back. Like he was the first one, joined them down in Orange County.
Yeah, he got a big old hug.
He'll have a green card almost certainly.
Yeah, pretty
this
soon.
year.
Do you think that
I know.
pushing people into a pool DQs you from getting a green card? Is
In this America, maybe.
that- maybe, right?
No, it encourages it.
Also, that
If you're
white
you're
from
from
Scandinavia.
if you're from the European countries.
Jordi Delem was in France,
He's
supposedly
back.
working on visa issues. He
He showed it.
down
He's
in
back.
Orange County now,
He took a photo of his
Yeah.
photo and he's on his way. Yeah, let's go.
and he'll have his work visa. Nuhu, objected
Well.
to the claim that Soundheart did when we quoted Garth and said that he was there for visa issues. There is a rumor out of Olympic Marseille. If you have ever read Soccernomics, you know of them, because they're the ones that
Is Marseille the one that's like spelled Marseilles, but it's pronounced Marseille?
Yeah, because they're French. They don't know how to
Got
spell
it.
in
There
English.
used to be a show on Netflix called Marcellus or Marseille. It was pretty good.
And we don't really know what's going on with that. If it's not sorted out by Friday, he's almost certainly coming back because Ligue 1 has a transfer window that closes either Thursday or Friday.
I think it's Thursday.
I do not want to see him go.
think-
I think he is very critical to
All right.
our team.
What if I offer you $5 million?
I would say, can I get that in a wire, please? I'll
I'm
take
gonna-
wire or certified funds only.
I'm
No
gonna say
personal
I'm
checks.
50-50 that he's going.
I think there's clearly a number where it makes sense to do it. There's a number where you can get a DP quality version left back and still have made money.
Yeah, but we don't need that money because we won't use it till the summer, and by then there'll be a fourth
What if
DP
no?
rule, and then
Or you'll be
at
able
the-
to trade
or
for
by,
DPs.
or by tomorrow there'll be a fourth DP rule. I don't know.
The fourth DP rule will come about on February 4th because the EPL
Yes.
window will have closed.
Yes.
And they're the ones that all were offering significant money for.
while we're on this,
Miguel.
because we won't spend a ton of time probably talking about other people's players
Problems.
or problems. OPP.
Yeah, that's
Are you
what I was
down?
thinking.
Are you down with ODP? Other
Other people's players.
OPDP? Yeah.
I'm not going to get into OPDP because
That really
there's a
sounds
good joke.
like something. Yeah,
We
that's-
just missed like the AVN awards this week. We could go down this road. Anyway,
I have friends down there.
do you think? I think there's a lot of seriousness around Almiron. That feels like a pretty decent chance that happens.
Well, actually,
Wait,
they were
that
just
which happens?
that he's gone.
That he's gone? That he stays?
That he stays and
Oh.
someone else maybe goes now.
yeah.
Because like 2 days ago,
I don't
he was
think he's
going to
leaving.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
And now they're talking Tottenham.
Yeah, but maybe
Tottenham
not.
doesn't have the money to do that.
They've got the money.
Well, they
Although,
do spend the money.
but
let me put it that
but
way.
right now,
Yeah, but they
you're
can
in a
finish
situation
third.
where the coach,
Maybe
the
second.
manager is gone if they don't spend money. I think he leaves if they don't buy players.
Isn't he the guy who used to be with
I
like
think he's
Southampton?
gone.
He knows what it's like to not spend money. Then. That's like-
Damn.
I see. What's interesting though is Atlanta can just get rid of their garbage DP by like literally giving him a full-time loan to a USL squad.
but like they have to make a move. Well, today.
What's
Well,
really
to make a
interesting
move.
is that their garbage DP, the guy they bought, it just as like a futures contract essentially. Like we're gonna develop. Yeah, they
Barco,
spent.
for those who.
Yeah,
may
oh
not
yeah,
be paying
Barco,
attention.
Argentine, I believe. They signed him for like $15 million. He's a teenager that likes to hit on his teammates' wives. Yeah.
So what you're saying is he's a 70s Major League Baseball player.
Or
well, let's run
1998
it.
U.S.
Let's run
men's
it to you
national
this
team
way.
player.
That never happened, Mickey Turner.
Wow.
Remember Jack McInerney?
Accurate.
There's a reason Jack Mack's been on like 7 MLS sides already, and it's happened in at least 2 locker rooms.
Wow.
Nobody wants like, and that was Jack Mack, who at one point he's got like 50 goals in the
Yeah,
league,
he's not a horrible player by any stretch.
and locker rooms don't want to put up with that.
Yeah.
So, what are they going to do for a teenager that's doing the same sort of thing?
So we can get into this later, and we may recruit you to comment, Mr. Tottenham. A little later, we have a spur. We have a spur in the room.
You are now.
Nice. Anyway, we could go down that song discussion if you'd like, but let's not. Anyway, we should probably talk about roster rules because I do think now that there's like money from big cities, big MLS cities.
I thought you were going to say from big brand signings like Sulili now that we have money.
different
Never mind.
discussion.
Yeah.
But maybe. But you have a couple of cities. I do think that there was a point where, it was always, let's call it MLS out, and then there's been, clubs pushing in, and now we're at a point where the league's at a decent enough size. You have at a couple of cities, you have the Arthur Blanks of the world. You're, half of California owns LAFC. But seriously, you have enough people now with decent oomph that they can push on the league just as much as the league has pushed on its ownership in the past. So the concept that the new Beckham rule, whatever that is, not that it's another DP or it's just numbers change or whatever terms adjust, you never know. And I think things like dumb shit that FC Cincinnati recently did in the middle of a draft and other things probably telegraph the machinations of the league. So I do expect we're going to see something relatively notable.
Like rules changes?
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. Certain numbers of those rule changes need the players to agree.
But not all of them.
The DP rule doesn't, which is weird.
TAM does not.
So the players union would have to agree.
Yeah.
But roster size does.
Right, but
Number of internationals does.
X-TAM shows up tomorrow, and we have no control over that.
There'd be rumors about it, and what's weird is the only off-season leak about rule changes was that they were going to cut the number of DPs while increasing the amount of TAM. That would help neither the Galaxy nor Atlanta United. I should also point out the Seattle Sounders have gotten away with rule shenanigans in league history, too, as we never had to pay a transfer fee for Clint Dempsey.
Thanks, Clint.
Yeah, despite that being $9.5 million.
Super okay with it.
If you ever want to know people who are upset about it, just at your Portland friends. Also, they got away with some nice MLS rule shenanigans when they were allowed to sign a dude as a homegrown player who'd never been in their organization just because they claimed Gavin Wilkinson was his coach for a little while. Now, that's a lot less significant than being like L.A. back when San Diego Soccer, Landon Donovan played there, and they managed to have him.
You mean this season?
Xavier Abel and Carlos Ruiz all on $1 million plus contracts, despite the league's official rule being you only had one designated player. So they've gotten away with it a lot more than anybody else.
So I don't know what they're going to do this year. Obviously, the CBA, this is all kind of predicates or
CBA renegotiation.
Coming to a head with the collective bargaining agreement negotiations. The CBA ends January 31st, 2020, which is obviously before next season starts. And the only things that we've heard is that they were not going to add any more TAM this year because they didn't want to mess with the budgets and the money coming into the league ahead of a CBA negotiation where I'm sure that they'll claim that they're not making any money when they start to go into the room with
that's
the Players Association.
27 of 28 Major League Baseball teams aren't making any money.
Yeah. And it's because one team is losing $30 million and the rest are doing quite fine. But so the official line, at least for now, is that they're not going to add any more TAM. And I don't see how they add or do anything with the DP except maybe authorized trading one. But that I still don't see something like that going over too well. But it'll be interesting to see if Atlanta and LA have their hands force the hands of the league. LA is a lesser problem, except the fact they'd be losing $6 million by buying out Gio Dos Santos.
Their ownership group has authorized a buyout of one of their DPs.
Well, good. It would be Gio Dos Santos.
That's the wrong move if I'm them, by the way.
Well,
I would buy out Jonah Dos Santos, so you get Gio back, who in his best year was 15 goals and 8 assists.
Yeah, but Gio's a older
they
man.
They can trade Jonah. Someone will take Jonah Dos Santos in Mexico because he's not making that much. I mean, he's making a lot.
He's also bad.
Well, there's still someone in Mexico.
It's literally
that would
his
absolutely
personality.
take him.
That
Do you know
makes
who's
Gio
bad
a
now?
player.
Yeah.
Also, Gio.
Yes. He was not good. And
With his brother, he's bad.
With his brother around, he's horrible. I have stories.
Really?
That will be SonarFeed
Share,
after dark.
share.
Oh my God, you should talk to Dave about this because you will appreciate this.
Yes.
Also,
You will
fuck your
appreciate
team.
it. Yeah.
Never.
but
Yeah.
so So LA's
Mickey, where are you tracking down all this like collective bargaining legality stuff?
Yeah.
Plug some shit.
Okay.
Plug yourself, man.
I'll
You do
plug.
it.
I'll plug the Athletic because I'll have a story coming out. I think in the day or next day or so. It's not on this stuff. It'll be on the solidarity payments and training compensation stuff. But so I got a story coming out.
Was it delayed
there.
again?
Gosh, I actually talked to the attorney today, and they're still waiting for it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
The year is 2146.
It's going to be wild.
FIFA's ruling on solidarity payments is again delayed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I've talked to a lot of people about that
DeAndre
story.
Edlin
Yeah.
runs the EPL.
Yeah, he might be by the time this ruling comes out.
Hairstyles for everyone.
That guy.
So, that's not.
They're not going down.
No, Newcastle will be fine. They'll survive.
They'll
There's like
easily
three-
be 15th.
Yeah, there's like three. There's easily three teams
Like
that are much worse
Bournemouth's
than them.
going down.
Yeah, and who else is going down?
Southampton.
Huddersfield, and Cardiff. Yeah, Newcastle will be fine.
They're not good.
Yeah,
This is when I bring
But they'll
back
stay
up
up.
that joke that everyone was like, guys, it's too early to discuss how the EPL is going to go this year. And then it was like, it's too early to discuss how the EPL is going to go this year. No one knows who's going to go down except Cardiff. I was like, oh, you thought
we
that
forgot
shit
Fulham
through.
being trash.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Huddersfield, Fulham, Cardiff. That's your bottom three right now. Newcastle, Burnley, Southampton.
yeah, they'll be fine.
So I'd just like to announce,
And those are all
I'm going to interrupt you for
negative.
a quick moment.
Yeah,
This
please
is
do.
Big
we don't
announcement.
get a
Big
lot.
announcement.
We don't get a lot of big announcements
Big
on
announcement.
SonarFeed, but when we do,
We make it count.
it's when Susanna announces her 2020 presidential campaign. DPs for everyone.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
I'm both uncomfortable and happy at the same
Is
time.
that
just a little bit.
Is that a
horrified.
safer work
Just a little bit
announcement?
horrified.
High five. Let's move
I
on.
forgot where we were.
So Mickey,
Yeah, completely.
plug in your own shit.
Oh yeah. So anyway, the solidarity thing is still in the works. We'll see what happens here. Hopefully, we'll get something, some answers here shortly. But anyway, that's in the next athletic story I have coming out. Oh, I guess the other thing I'll plug is the reason I'm going to Arizona is I'm going to be covering the annual general meeting of U.S. Soccer.
I thought it was because it wasn't
Oh,
38.
the U.S.
Yeah,
Soccer
well, that's-
ATM?
Yeah,
Phoenix, not Tucson, right?
yeah, it's Phoenix. Yeah,
You'll just drive out
Phoenix,
for the one
Scottsdale.
game.
Pahonix.
Oh, yeah, Scottsdale, where the better hotels are.
Yeah.
Because you're either going to Biltmore.
Actually, super true.
I say this as a 13-month Phoenix resident at one point. Well, Peoria, Glendale resident, but worked
I
at the
stay at the
Biltmore.
Old W. It's got the pool that has the glass in the floor, and when you pull into the parking garage,
You're underneath
you're
it?
actually underneath it.
I'm never
It's
going
super
back
cool.
to Arizona,
Yeah.
man.
The
Nothing but
sushi is
bad
decent.
memories from Arizona, so I'm
V-
never, ever going there.
V dot expensive.
Combined that with what you just said, Susanna, that I'm Mexican, but
I-
no. Just
I worked
bad
at a
memories,
coffee
bad
house
memories.
that was in the Biltmore Shopping Center, and my God, the wealth there. I say that as somebody who also worked at many coffee houses on Mercer Island, and my God, the wealth at the Biltmore Shopping Center
It's dumb.
is. Yeah.
sounds about right.
Susanna,
We were just
you
asked
need to
by
take my spot right
2020
now.
presidential candidate Susana Orozco, who says, "Will it pay for the wall?" Yes, is the answer, and that's just the people in the Apple Store.
Well, we can build a wall around
My God.
I can't. You should
No,
say it
you
louder.
can say whatever your
actually,
heart
yeah.
desires. You're running for president.
You're both on the show
Yes.
Tom, I'm
tonight.
Yes.
So we're gonna have DPs moving to Tottenham and DPs paying for the wall. That's where we're going tonight. That's where.
We're going to fund the wall through DPs.
Anyway, Mickey Turner,
I've completely lost my.
Tucson, and
He's going to go to one practice,
Scottsdale
and he's going to be at the
Pahonix.
USSF annual general meeting.
Yeah, the AGM, that'll be fun. And then I'll obviously be able to go down to catch the Sounders against Portland. I think they're playing Portland on Wednesday.
The 9th.
They're
right?
playing Houston on the 9th,
Ninth.
Portland the 13th-ish.
Okay.
And then they've got, I think, Dallas or somebody else on the weekend.
A
So
big surprise
really
that
fun.
U.S. soccer is avoiding the polar vortex and meeting in Scottsdale
Yeah, shocking.
rather than
Or that
the
portion
negative 2 degrees that they're
yeah,
expecting.
that
like,
portion
tomorrow
of
night.
Minnesota that there
Or no,
isn't
that's
a
the high.
there
There's
isn't a
no
color.
high.
There isn't even a color for on the weather map. It's just clear.
That's
The
a pretty
wind
good
chill,
sign.
negative.
It's so cold. It's like every one of those movies in that like 18-month period where Dennis Quaid was
Oh,
in
yes.
like 18 movies where the end of the world
World,
happens
yeah.
and we all freeze to death. Right? It's the ice color.
The color
real,
of ice.
You ever go to like a place where the ice doesn't have the like white in it? It's just perfectly clear. It's that, except over you.
You know those stories about like the 1920s where they were like, yeah, we drove our cars out onto Lake Michigan and Lake Superior and all that stuff? Yeah, they're doing that. Like,
It's that, except now.
Yo, it's crazy. I didn't know that it could be like -50, like anywhere but like in
the
Arizona.
high in Chicago
That's crazy.
tomorrow is the high is supposed to be -2.
People,
That
I
is
mean,
an
like people will
absolute hard
die. That's
pass.
crazy. Yo,
So,
from just the cold. That's crazy.
I was.
By the way, we need a winter calendar because that's clearly soccer.
I was in North Dakota when it was like a decent negative double digits, and there was no snow, there was no anything where I was, and in a lot of the plains, the houses are actually like nothing's like north south or east west like perfectly like that. They're all on an angle because the straight line winds will literally like blow your garage doors off and like rip hinges and all sorts of things.
damn.
So you can go outside in like shorts and like a coat and like cover your head and wear shoes and you're fine. And then you step outside of a building and you just get hit with these massive winds and it's -37 and whatnot. And it's the weirdest thing ever because you go outside and it's perfectly still. And then you step into the wind and you're like, oh, why does anyone live here? I mean, well, because for 50 years, people's houses all blew away. While we're talking about intelligence, Jacob
I'm
Wall, I'm doing this.
No, don't.
I'm
gonna,
doing it.
No,
Just
no.
wait. It's a good one. Just
I'm
wait.
gonna reel you back into my topic
President
seat right
Trump
here.
has reduced temperatures to record lows in the Midwest. What did Obama ever do to lower the temperature? Real tweet in real life.
Well, he heard about it at a coffee shop.
I don't understand
Did you
how
know?
we live on the same planet.
You know how to improve the health scroll? Block people who make you feel like that.
I don't follow him.
It makes you feel better about yourself.
It does. It makes me feel
No.
10. Like there are only so many points on the
makes my brain
SAT. I feel like I passed the SAT 10x the number of points you are able to get more than I already got.
Yeah.
Tom,
we
I got
talk
5
about
other
this, Waldo.
topics on the show sheet here.
Damn it, Dave.
Let me just before we go into those, the ex-Chivas coach is the best striker for that team right now. There's a video of him taking a shot.
For the San Jose Earthquakes?
Yeah, and it's amazing.
Is that
Are
the
we
guy
talking
who
about
left?
Matias Almeida?
We are talking about Matias Almeida.
Is that the guy who left Chivas to go to a better team?
That's the guy who got fired, let go by
Oh
Chivas.
shit!
That
Is this
him.
why you wanted to sit over
It was
there
the
tonight?
ownership of Chivas that made
Lobbing
the
bombs.
ridiculous
Yeah.
mistake to let him go.
But let's be clear. He went to San Jose.
the worst team in MLS, not just last year,
I-
but possibly in the past 20 years.
Because
they're better.
It's ridiculous. I don't know why he ended up there. What a horrible decision. As I talk about taking a downsizing your job.
San Jose has hired some of the more hated
The only
people.
thing I can think of is that his geography really sucks, and he thinks San Jose is somewhere in South America.
San Jose, by the way.
only thing I can think of.
I mean, to be fair, there
Thought he
is
was
San
signing with
Jose
San
del
Jose,
Cabo.
Costa Rica.
There's the San Jose del Cabo,
I
San Jose,
have
Costa
no
Rica.
idea.
Do you know what didn't happen? That they paid him a lot of money.
Yeah, they did.
You ready for some San Jose Earthquakes trivia?
Yeah.
Where did San Diego soccer star Landon Donovan start his career? I just want to point out that Landon Donovan plays in the MASL now.
San
and I will
Jose.
laugh at that every single time.
Yeah, laugh for it.
Supposedly,
The Sockers?
they announced 4 or 5 teams that he will travel to for their road games, and Tacoma/Kent is one of them.
If he doesn't show, I'm heckling them for not breaking
Off mic.
That
it
was one of the
wondering-
2 jokes I wanted to make. Damn it. The comment was, does he want to get owned by James Riley again? We
The
should
answer
just end
is-
the show right now. Because the answer is clearly yes. The other comment I wanted to make was, how many of those teams play on turf?
In the MASL?
Yes.
All of them. By the way, Landon Donovan, never afraid of turf.
I just wanted to make a joke about DPs and turf.
My Aussie story was because
Some DPs on turf are okay.
Landon played at Starfire in an Open Cup game.
I'm working this shit for the. We have 55 more minutes of the show. I'm getting like. Wait, hold on.
He also played in the
Guys,
Zakawani.
I am getting 10 more DPs in.
Yes, he did.
Let's remind people, we have 55 minutes left of the show, and 5 of them will be worth your while. You just don't know which 5.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned till the end.
The best part about DP jokes is, at any given time, half the people don't get the joke.
Hey, Tom, on the show sheet,
I'm turning my microphone off.
Wow.
I'm out.
Oh my God.
on the show sheet, something that got announced in between our last show, which was Steve Zakawani, and this show, which is less interesting than Steve Zakawani, was Zulily.
Yeah, that's right.
As the front of shirt sponsor
Let's
for
go.
the Seattle Sounders and the Seattle Reign.
For how much money?
Yes.
8 figures, apparently.
No, that 8
Yearly.
figures was not about Zulily. It was about all of what Xbox was paying. The total will be about 8 figures. The Zulily portion is not everything that Xbox was doing.
So basically, they have
But it
other.
is more than what Xbox was paying to be on the front of shirt, the training kits, and the stadium, and the in-stadium, like those.
Gotcha.
The
ads,
seat covers
ads, right?
thing.
Oh, okay.
So Zulily's only taking like one element that Xbox was paying for, and they're beating Xbox's total number.
So basically,
so that'll mean
they're going to make a
somewhere
lot more
around-
money
The
from
Sounders are getting a
other.
lot more money for less.
They're getting
less.
5 to 6 from Zulily, and they'll get 5 to 6 from other places for things like
So
training
good
kit,
job.
Starfire. On the monetary aspect, you can't doubt the monetary aspect of it. Plus,
The question was, what can you
What
doubt?
can you doubt?
From 2020 presidential candidate Susana Orozco.
I can't doubt anything. They are also sponsoring the Seattle Reign in so much as I think Bill Predmore said that like it's the type of deal that means that we're financially solvent during the deal, which is a big deal because most of the NWSL is not financially solvent.
Sky Blue.
Like Sky Blue,
Oh, that's a mess. Wow.
Mickey Turner.
I don't have anything specific on that except for it's an absolute mess. And
If you were
They
the
dropped-
governor of New Jersey.
Too long, don't read. The governor of New Jersey owns Sky Blue FC out in Piscataway, New Jersey, or whatever.
Piscataway?
That one.
Do you know who plays there?
They play in like trailers.
No. Do you know what's in Piscataway?
No, Rutgers.
Rutgers.
The quick and dirty
Rutgers
version
training,
is
Piscataway.
drafted players refuse to play for them because their training facilities are trash. They are the most amateur of
professional
any
teams.
professional
Whoa.
soccer team in the United
Oh,
States.
professional soccer team. Never mind.
It's really bad.
It's really bad, and they might go the way of the Breakers next week. The Boston
Damn.
Breakers were eliminated essentially this time a year ago and just disappeared. And in Sky Blue's case, they're actually much worse off financially. And sadly, Naho is there now. The former Reign and Japan national team star is now with Sky Blue, basically because she will start every game there before she potentially goes to the World Cup for like the 4th time, Whereas if she was with the Seattle Reign, she'd start maybe 2/3 of her games, maybe half, because the Reign squad is really deep still. They're going to have to cut good talent because they're over their roster limit.
Yeah. The only thing I'd add as far as Sky Blue is concerned, and whether they're around for the near future, is that I'd be surprised if they go away just because of how the league is currently structured. They've only got 9 teams with Sky Blue right now, now dropping down to 8. Not that U.S. Soccer minds their own standards, but their NWSL is supposed to have 10 teams by this point to be in compliance with the professional league standards. Again, U.S. Soccer rarely abides by those, and they're also in bed with the NWSL in that I think they have a stake in the league. And
They pay like 20% of the talent is on
US
Soccer's payroll,
direct contracts. Yeah, so they directly subsidize a bunch of those players,
like Pino.
And so,
Dude, New York City FC plays in Yankee Stadium.
again, I didn't say that they abide by the rules.
It doesn't matter.
Consistently.
Rules don't matter.
The
again, that's not
stadium
some-
itself isn't like the field isn't the issue. It's
The facilities,
everything
Yeah.
else.
Guys, the president complained about whether Starbucks was paying rent in Trump Tower that he owns.
Wait,
Nothing matters. We can
no,
do whatever we want
um,
forever. Just make it up as you go
I'm gonna
along.
start
at
bringing
this
my
point.
juggling balls to throw at Tom.
Like, rules literally are irrelevant at this point.
Are the points made up?
Also, thanks, Drew.
Yeah. Okay. So on our sheet, that was Zulily. It's really cool because there's lots of money involved. It's also really cool because it is the first brand that targets predominantly women that has sponsored a men's sports team as their premium sponsor. Yeah, it's their font. Their font still sucks. Is the comment, which is interesting because on the rain kit the font's about 10% larger,
It
and
looks great on the.
Smaller
Yeah.
oh, no the
The women are smaller than the men. That's why that's why the proportion is different.
it takes up a larger percentage of the shirt too.
Because the women are smaller now.
I'll defer to the female contingent on this.
I will need to
Great
see
answer.
it when one of the academy kids is wearing it, like an Ezreal. I'd like to compare it like on someone else that's like 5'4", because from what I've heard, there isn't an actual final version of what the Sounders were wearing. Those were like 10 shirts that were put together rapidly for the announcement.
Zulily rebranded
Like a week
at the same time,
Yeah.
like
That
the
was
day
the-
before.
That was their rebranding announcement.
As someone who manages a branding agency, there is something to font size and space. It is math, as Susana Orozco, 2020 presidential candidate, suggested. There is something to that. I do feel like it is too small in my as a marketing person on the Sounders kits. That said, I think there were things that were happening all at the same time. Ultimately, it's good for Sounders, and that's what's important, whether you like the choice or not.
All the money.
Really, like
Dollars are green, baby.
I'm buying it with all of the butthurt people.
good for Sounders at the end of the day. Like,
What do they do with that money?
Hopefully sign good players.
They typically do. Their stated position is that they don't take profits out of the team. So based on that statement, that means that the
And
money
our
will
Rob.
go into the team.
I
They
expect
can't
either-
use it.
Working capital.
They
right,
use it-
training facilities,
DP purchases.
purchases,
big players.
Yeah.
And if you purchased your DPs, you've got to expect that the quality is better than if you grow them at home. So, if you invest in DPs, aren't you expecting the payoff?
I promise you, we have 4 good minutes
Just
left of
be-
the show.
Expect the big
So
payoff
much better.
sometimes.
Anyway, please.
I'll do that.
I'll take
Mac
that.
and cheese.
And another Chardonnay
Yeah.
from
No,
Mickey Turner.
For the
no
gentleman.
bacon. or bacon on the side. Bacon.
I personally have no opinion on the choice of sponsor or the lettering. I'm just here for the money that the Sounders will get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Best.
personally,
it makes no difference to me
right.
whatsoever.
Don't love it. Do love Sounders getting what they need to be successful. So
Yeah,
I-
that's the bottom line.
I can nitpick whether they appropriately portioned the logo on the front of the kit or not all day. That's not. I don't think that's what show we're on. Is that?
I can change the name.
Yeah. Anyway, Dave, what else is on our list?
Well, what do we know about the launch of the alternate jerseys? I heard something about the first part of February. Some teams are starting to finally launch their jersey, their new
and
jerseys.
by some teams, you mean Adidas let 5 teams have the same jersey, and they put logos on them.
No, the Philly jersey doesn't look like the Vancouver
The
jersey.
Philly jersey's the only good one that's come out so far this year.
No, the
Literally.
Vancouver jersey looks pretty cool.
And it's the same as like 5
No.
other jerseys that are out there.
It's not.
Toronto, Chicago.
Chicago's
Vancouver.
looks like a Chicago jersey. Like they're pretty much into like we're gonna have this big band of color right around the center of the chest.
Right now, the Philly kit is pretty hot
I like it. I
of
like
the
it.
ones I've seen.
I like it.
Speaking of jerseys, the Phoenix Rising jersey, which is not from Adidas, down in the USL Championship, they actually get third kits still, and their third kit they're calling the Copper State because Arizona's the Copper State, and it is black with copper highlights, and some of the black is black with black embossing.
Is Drogba still
of
there?
He's still the owner, but he no longer plays.
It's actually like Drogba is just like woven into the kit.
So they've got a
that would
kick-ass
be
third
fucking
kit.
great. That
would be sick.
If Conor McGregor had a soccer kit, that's what it would be. But it says
They
Drogba.
should have images of him.
But yeah, I don't know what the Sounders are going to do as
They
far
ha-
as their announcement is concerned, because they used to obviously have the jersey, catwalk display, and people could come in and buy, and then they got rid of that. I
Yeah,
presume
that-
because the cost of running the event is.
Well, I
pretty
mean, part
high,
of it is
so.
when you release a jersey in February, you're in one of like the deadest retail months
Yeah.
of the year, because Adidas and MLS can't cooperate enough to release new jerseys in late November.
Makes no
like
sense. It's-
people that
well,
would want to
I understand-
maximize income.
So I'd be interested to know if they change that with the change of the schedule. I can understand why they maybe didn't do that previously, because MLS playoffs were going on and they didn't want to step on their
You know
message
that-
with a bunch of stuff. So now that the season will be over at the first part of November, you could have that launch in December,
It's a different thing.
and that's probably something they
Like Jerry
Should look into.
will lose his shit
if he's able
that
to buy
happens.
the.
And I got to
jerseys.
tell you, he is dead to right on this. It is a
Well,
huge miss to
Did buy
not
this for
have.
me today.
Really though, nice. It's a huge miss to not have that the Jerry flag except shirt form.
Yeah.
But marketing me believes it's a huge miss for them to not have released the new kit when they did the sponsorship the other day. They're gonna get attention because it's Sounders, and we eat up everything they do. But from a national, international, whatever you want to call it, the fact that they fucking hit it out of the park with the rain situation there, that completely changed the complexion of
I
that
would say
Zulily
so.
sponsorship.
Yeah.
Not having that fresh kit,
Well, you know,
I
they're-
think was a huge miss, and I literally told the Sounders to their faces last week because we had a meeting about something else. I was like, "Why wouldn't you do this?" And
you
I
know
don't
there are
expect
two
an
different
answer.
approaches that you can have.
It.
In these situations, you can have the trickle out little bits of information over the dead period, or you can do the we're going to hammer you in the face with every single bit of news, and it's just going to be like you're going to be there for an hour, and we're going to be like, smack, big news, and that's kind of what Tacoma is about to do on Wednesday. Is that's
hold
more
on,
philosophy, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Like,
think that's a personal.
in my
preference.
opinion, this is not drip campaign. This is kill it, hit it out of the park. Honestly,
you'd go
for
big every
all the
time.
haters. If I'm Sounders, I go big every time. If I'm Indy 11, I drip.
No, they go
this.
big every time.
But they do. actually, as an example, but like compared to Sounders.
They signed the ex-Chivas player once.
But I think if I'm Sounders, they got everybody showing up at the Packard Pavilion.
Yeah, they had a good
They
turnout.
nailed it. They had last minute surprise. Like that morning, there was a couple of tweets about like, oh, there's other shit coming. Rain players showed up. I don't love the sponsorship, and I told Taylor Graham in writing, I thought that the tie-in, like bringing that all together, Rain, and doing it all at one time was so well orchestrated because none of us, honestly, I didn't talk to one person that thought that was going to happen.
the rain part.
At all.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah.
They had
Like
that
it
on lock
was,
and key.
that's like marketing mega smarts. Like, give that person a bonus.
Yeah.
So the
level
other angle,
I think I would have, knowing that there wasn't another rave kit this year, I would have just unveiled the other kit and just, even if you did it last thing. Oh, one more thing,
And also-
Adrian Hanauer says, and that last kit rolls out. I don't like that would have been super, super awesome. And now we're all going to pay attention. And to be honest, the coverage will be fine. It's not going to be negative. Everything I've seen, it's pretty badass. Everybody I've talked to that's seen it loves it. But it felt like they could have made it even bigger of a deal, as opposed to like, oh, we got to do something else. We're not signing more designated players.
maybe.
DPs. Two more DPs. We're unveiling two DPs, and they're both going to be in the new kit.
And I'm both of them.
That's a Susana Orozco 2020 presidential candidate promise.
So, Tom, if you were to roll it out, you'd be like, yeah, we're going to have this thing, and what we're going to do is we're going to do the new name, the new logo, the new sponsor, the new kit, the new stadium.
Oh my God!
You do all that.
As Sounders, I would have done it all at once.
Okay.
As other teams, I can't say I would do the same thing.
Because that's what that's the minimum of what we know that Tacoma is going to roll out on Wednesday.
And it will be
The
streamed.
Tacoma DPs.
It will be.
Tacoma
yes.
screw, Tom.
Do you hear that? It's
Oh my
gonna
God!
be
So
free.
Tacoma. Wait, guys, I figured it out. So it's like
No.
tiers, like degrees of difficulty. So MLS has DPs. Tacoma is like we're just the Tacoma screw. Like it's slightly easier.
A little
No.
smoother.
Anyway, Dave, let's come back. It's just a little trashy.
So, are we moving to Tacoma?
We're moving
Is it
to
a
Tacoma.
Phillips?
Move to
or-
Tacoma.com.
Dude.
Marguerite never watched
She's
this.
gonna
It's
beat
okay.
the shit out of us.
Yeah, so those are the things that are probably going to be there. The stadium aspect, it's going to be at Heidelberg Davis Park, which, if you've been to Cheney, is that side near Fred Meyer. And Populous, who is like Sporting KC's park, is a Populous project.
I think Minnesota's is
Minnesota, like, they do the awesome stadiums. They don't do, like, Phoenix Rising Stadium is like a little pop-up that
actually works well. for
it
them.
works well, but it was just thrown together ad hoc, put up in like 4 months.
So you know you know that, or based off of your whatever, you know this is going to be or have they announced it, or
They haven't announced anything.
Okay.
That was what I
They
was.
called it
Tacoma
a series of
screw.
announcements.
yes.
What
But
I
I
was-
mean, I'm saying what you're saying right now is this an educated guess?
I would say that's accurate based on what we were told at
yeah.
practice
Okay.
by
Yeah.
certain people.
I was told series
Will
of
not
announcements. The brand clearly makes sense because the team has a game on March 8th. That's Friday night.
Emily said more like a series of unfortunate announcements. Am I right?
Oh.
Zing!
The stadium, I believe, will be announced because they settled on Populous back in November, never announced that. And if the stadium's going to be ready for 2020, they basically have to break ground like tomorrow.
I was told that it would not take long to, and excuse me while I talk. I was told that it would not take long to construct the stadium, so that's not really an issue. Usually these things take about 18 to 24 months.
Really?
And
What's
but
normal
again, that would be 2
construction?
years.
It's normal construction, not Tim Iman bonded construction, which
But
are
it's-
those are totally different timelines.
But it's 2 years. I mean, that's 2 years, and it's also Tacoma, which
Has a history.
Well, when they do 2 years, they're talking.
Are you
a lot of,
making
like,
a
planning
Berliner
and stuff,
joke?
And we're actually
I
a couple months
am.
into that.
Yeah, they've done a lot of that already.
I guess it's fair.
And then we're not talking about a 20,000 seat stadium. We're talking
I gotta
about a
block
5,000
my,
seat stadium.
It was
Propaganda.
5 to 8,000 was what when they took the request for bids.
Yeah.
They wanted a contractor program manager who was interested in 5 to 8,000 seats. Aaron Artman on Nerd Farmer. Aaron Artman is the principal owner of the Tacoma Rainiers.
Yeah.
Did talk about it not being a typical pop-up that looked like a rectangle. And at the time, he talked about wanting, in some ways, the elements that you get from Cheney, which are like those little nooks and crannies
Yeah.
and angles that makes it feel like it's a neighborhood stadium, even though that isn't necessarily a residential neighborhood. But, you know, like you think of like classic baseball stadiums that were built, you know, I'm going to ask John. The New York Mets, where do they start?
Shea Stadium.
Ebbets, that's
Ebbets
what I'm
Field?
thinking of. Ebbets Field had those wacky angles to it. And, you know, that's kind of that baseball nostalgia. Fenway, Ebbets, Wrigley, asymmetrical, some funky little things. Because one of the unique aspects about playing soccer in Cheney is all the funky little places are sold out all the time, and the normal seats are like nobody's in them. So they're like, let's focus on making these like unique experience, these tiny little pockets. Now that was like 4 months ago on Nerd Farmer, which is a great podcast.
it is. So did he talk about, because I had heard some rumors that they wanted to incorporate almost like a mixed use kind of environment, like maybe some like living units.
That's possible because that area it's really interesting. There's a giant Fred Meyer and a couple like strip mall style places right
there,
across the street.
Right across the street. There's only the Fred Meyer, and then
There's a couple.
there's a couple
it's like
businesses, but there's a
Subways
whole
and those
bunch
kinds of
of housing and apartments and stuff like that.
There is some housing nearby. There's a high school
Yep,
right there.
Foss.
If you're not familiar with the area, there's also like a regional parks building.
Yeah, right next to it.
Right next
Metro Parks,
door.
Tacoma.
And there are two public parks. That's Heidelberg Davis is the name of the soccer project. That's the one that's closest, and then
Yeah,
there's the
that's
one
the-
south of Foss, which is a different park. That one's going to be slightly renovated to have both baseball and soccer fields rather than just soccer.
So as far as you know, is it what is currently like 8 or 9 baseball fields right there across 19th
Yeah,
from,
if you
that's going to be
if you come in
that's
from
Heidelberg
that
Davis.
side of Cheney, it's
Okay.
where the baseball fields
Yeah.
are. One of the things that the Rainiers have said, if they get the stadium approved, this is on public record about the project. If they get the stadium approved, they'll actually open up Cheney to having some of the higher level events that Heidelberg Davis hosted, whether that's high level softball or high level
Right.
adult amateur baseball or the Little League. So the end level of those tournaments would be at Cheney Stadium, which if you've talked to any of the baseball players who've made like the AAA and Quad A championships that get to play at Safeco, like playing in an actual professional baseball stadium rather than one of those places with like the 40-foot wide, 20-foot tall bleacher is such a huge like
it's a big difference.
morale boost just for life, not necessarily towards that game. So the stadium, I'm almost certain that's going to be announced. Nobody's told me that, but like
What I was told is that all your questions will be answered.
All your base.
Very
Are
cryptic
belong to us.
quote,
And-
but that's what I was told.
I just like to make a pedantic comment for the night.
sure.
The New York Mets did not play at Ebbets Field. They started at the Polo Grounds, which is where the Giants
Dodgers
played.
before they
the
moved.
Dodgers.
Giants.
So the
That was the
Dodgers and
stadium I
the
was asking
colors
about.
of the Dodgers and the Giants became the Mets.
Shea Stadium is
They
really
started
boring
actually at the Polo
construction.
Grounds. the Mets played the first 2
Polo
seasons there.
Grounds,
Then
Ebbets
Shea
Field,
Stadium.
those are the classic neighborhood baseball stadium. Shea Stadium and Modern Yankee are the garbage version.
Correct. City trash field.
Symmetrical, everything's equal.
Miss 6 innings while you're at Shake Shack.
And
By the way, Shake Shack's really fucking good, but it's not worth 6 innings of baseball.
So that's everything we know about Tacoma on my list. Oh wait, no, that's not. Nate Bowling teased something on Twitter. He'll probably be in trouble for this, but he said something about Open Cup games possibly being.
Do we
Well, I'd
want to
heard
talk
that-
about this? Because I
I
have an
think-
opinion.
Do you?
I had, I'd heard that previously, and so it's not a surprise.
By
to
the
me.
way, if you're not following hashtag Sousa Roscoe 2020, you should. We
It is
just
now.
started it.
That's a thing.
Ugo and I just started that in the last. I'm actually gonna leave because now I'm uncomfortable.
So yeah, Nate hinted that Open Cup games might be there, whether that's the lowest level. In the past, the Sounders have said CenturyLink would host. I think it's obviously will
Semis.
host the final. Most semis would be there. It's possible that a quarterfinal versus Portland could wind up at CenturyLink just because they know they could crack 20,000. But for the most part, the Open Cup has meant Starfire or the Road. And in early rounds, at least, it's basically like S2 and reserve players these
Right.
days. So I think it was Artman had talked about this a long time ago on that same podcast, friend of the show, Nate Bowling, Nerd Farmer, about the potential for hosting Open Cup games. And Nate brought that up as what seems like more than potential now. I haven't been able to get
I
any.
assume that was what they were going to do, assuming they ever get a home game
I mean, it
in
makes
the Open Cup again.
It makes a lot of sense because being on the infrastructure side of Starfire, like setting up a stream and everything like that there, setting up the cameras and all that, that's an expense. It's not cheap for the team. And if they can save that by saying, oh, hey, we're going to use the built-in infrastructure you already have, the interns you already have, the camera crew, which is the camera crew, right? Like, that's a huge chunk of money that's not coming out of their pocket. So I
It
think,
also
yeah.
makes sense because unlike the other top-level professional teams in the Seattle area, the Seattle Sounders really, their fan base is like, it's funny because here we are in Renton at the Berliner Pub, just off of 3rd and Main. I said it backwards again, didn't I? I'm out of practice. We're in Renton, but really, the Sounders fan base, like 85% of them live within the city limits. They haven't done a great job of being like the Mariners. More than 50% of Mariners fans live outside of King County. For the Seahawks, it's like 80% of their fan base lives outside of King County. Well,
Well, it's a larger fan. It's a larger fan base,
Yeah.
so the number,
if you
the
want
actual
to
hard
appeal
numbers might
to
be the same.
large portion, like Seattle metro area, and I don't have the numbers memorized, but it's basically 3.5 million in the metropolitan area, and there's only like 700,000 that live in the Seattle city limits. And if you've noticed, by just appealing to Seattle, the Sounders have stagnated right around
40,000, yeah.
They haven't had a huge boost in attendance in a while, and they need.
They
to
want to
start
change
feeling-
that.
There are more people that live south of the Seattle city limits than live within the Seattle city limits. There are also more people that live east of the Seattle city limits within the metro area. Question, presidential candidate.
How do you appeal to people outside of Seattle proper?
One, by having games and appearances there.
The question was, how do you appeal to people
yeah.
outside of Seattle proper?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have games there. You appear there. You have appearances there. Well, in this case, Tacoma.
And Tacoma, yeah.
Don't have games outside of Seattle.
Well, they're the NFL, and that's a totally different
well, but-
beast. Yeah.
Like principles.
The Seahawks in preseason travel about a dozen or 2 dozen of their players, not just
Tours.
around Washington, but to British Columbia, Idaho, Oregon, and Alaska. And one of them does. But, like, when one of the good things that the Xbox thing did was they actually had players appear in Redmond for a little while. That was much more frequent early in the season. They did it early.
Some people live south of Seattle.
Not the real
Well, everybody that's here lives south of Seattle. or
Presidential
southeast of Seattle.
candidates that are in the room right now live south of Seattle.
But what the other teams do is have more appearances and more appeal. Part of what they do is reach out via radio a little bit better. Their local broadcast puts them on outside of even the metropolitan area, which, their media partner promotes. KJR does better than the TV partner, but. Yeah, Q13 doesn't really promote it anymore. It just do it on their secondary channel. So there's lots of things they can do, and part of the feeling is by putting competitive soccer in Tacoma, that will have the people of the South Sound more aware that the Seattle Sounders exist. It's a hard thing to do because in some ways a lot of people that live within the city limits of Seattle feel like the club will be turning their back on them.
At the same time, though, what you're going to get, I firmly believe, is you're going to get people from Tacoma, from Pierce County, in essence, that can't make it up to Seattle. You know, can't make it to Seattle. Don't want to pay the price to go up and park and the entry fee and stuff like that. They're like, oh, I can go see my team that I've only ever watched on TV. I can now see them live. Like that, I think that it's a. I don't know that it's the right gamble, but I think it's a good one.
It's a reasonable one.
Yeah, I think it's a great gamble.
What was brought up is that was also part of the reason why S2 moved to Tacoma was to help appeal to the South Sound.
For sure.
And I think that happened suddenly without enough warning to actually put together a marketing.
Well, that also had something to do with U.S. Soccer dropping the hammer on
But let's be honest.
USL teams.
The Sounders have...
They pulled
blatantly
3 times the number that they
disregarded
pulled into Starfire, though.
U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah.
It is not a priority.
Nope.
Garth
Nope.
has told ECS leadership to our faces, and I don't want to say MLS Cup isn't more important than U.S. Open Cup. In many people's opinion, especially right now, going to single elimination, MLS Cup is not an easier route to CCL than winning US Open Cup. It's just not for MLS teams. If you hit it over the head, you do, it's still not the buy your way through US Open Cup. Like, you can pound people in US Open Cup by playing your DPs. And I am writing all your speeches. 2020. No, but seriously, I don't think you can talk out of both sides of your mouth on this one. I'm thrilled as somebody who currently works in Tacoma. It's great that they're building a stadium and embracing the marketplace and not just half-assing it like NYCFC and putting a team in a baseball stadium and making it work. Like,
I like that you said having assing it.
They're building a new park in the Parks District. Like, it's a great idea. But unless you're going to go all in with who's playing in those Open Cup matches, it's just we're moving the Open Cup matches. It's not Sounders are playing in Tacoma and attracting people. Like, part of the degradation of Open Cup is, honestly, Garth Lagerwey, and I'm not saying anything that I literally haven't said to his face. And I just think how the club has looked at that as a priority in the last 5 years. And if you're going to go all in on something like Tacoma and growing it, and whether you're handing off S2 to whatever it becomes, or you've still got your hands in it and it's your minor league system like the Rainiers are to Mariners, which, to be honest,
let's point
is
out
fucking great.
That's the same way they're going to
to
be if the Tacoma changes their name from S2. It's going to be more like the Rainiers.
Which is
absolutely
fine, but like,
it's
commit to it. Don't half-ass it. And in my opinion, Sounders half-ass U.S. Open Cup and have since
20
red card wedding.
Yeah, yeah.
And I will.
Well, they lost 2 designated players for like a month because
There's
of that.
one.
Kind of
There's
swings
one
their
match.
decision.
There's one match, and it is last year's loss.
2 of them.
It's last year's loss to Sacramento is the one that I'm actually super okay with. That's how they went out. Everything prior to that, right now, I think is bullshit, and they have. It is not a priority, and quote, winning CCL is a priority, and I'm like, but you're not focused on the Shield.
Okay, but
they're not.
You got.
They're
to it not
literally.
being
They
a
think
priority
winning.
by-
They
like-
think winning MLS Cup.
So you're saying by
is an-
moving it to Tacoma, they've declared it's less of a priority than playing it at Starfire?
I'm saying that U.S. Open Cup is not a priority for the Seattle Sounders.
Okay,
That's a
but
separate issue.
Yeah, like,
I mean,
And
Which I would
think-
agree with you. I would,
I think it is not a priority, and I think they're just choosing to move it to Tacoma.
well, I mean,
I think there's good reasons to move it to Tacoma.
My travel from Pierce
Come up
County.
here. Why don't you come up
We
here?
can't hear
Seriously.
you.
I actually.
Please.
it'll take him a minute with
Come on down.
yeah. Hold on. You can't. You can't move into the middle here. Just
Yeah, here,
Just
take
come around.
it. Take it.
Like, I'm nimble.
Come around this way.
just scream. It's not 10 o'clock yet.
I will say this.
Please
as the-
introduce yourself.
Who are you?
No, seriously.
Garrison Levy.
Who are, yeah, who are, no, really.
Hey, you don't have to move, Hugo.
As the
Hugo,
local
come
Pierce
back.
County resident, I'll say this. My game day experience coming from my house in Pierce County is jumping in the car, running down the road 30, 35 minutes to Cheney is much, much easier than the whole plan that I have to do to get to CenturyLink or Starfire. Because no matter what, I'm driving through absolutely the worst traffic in Western Washington to get to the stadium every single time. And it's an hour, 2 hours, sometimes an hour and a half back just to get back to my house.
For sure.
No matter what, from anything we do, whether it's a ECS thing, whether it's a game day thing, whether it's a fan experience thing, I have to plan my day around what we do. When it's at Cheney, I don't have to do that.
I don't think anyone's disagreeing that that's a good or.
That's what I'm saying. Is that
But like, if they're gonna do that,
for us.
if Sounders are gonna,
South is south.
if Sounders are gonna push Open Cup like I believe they did previously, and it gets people in the South Sound more jazzed in their neighborhood, you know, in a 20-minute commute versus a 90-minute each way commute, great.
Tom,
In my opinion, I don't believe that's gonna happen.
who's Kevin Forrest?
I have no idea.
Me? You have you've talked about when they pushed the Open Cup and they put more importance on it. Kevin Forrest scored a game winner against the Portland Timbers in 2009.
Okay.
He wasn't even on the actual roster.
Year one.
Okay, you want me to
You're
talk
gonna
about the
tell me-
roster they put together in 2010's
You're
first
gonna-
2 rounds?
you're gonna tell
Because it
me
was the
that-
same as that took the field against Sacramento.
You're going to tell me that since then, the Sounders have not changed the day-to-day influence of the Open Cup.
The one year that they changed the day-to-day influence of the Open Cup was in the 4th round when they faced the Portland Timbers and put 2 designated players on the field, and they didn't see them again for a year. Yeah. That's the year that they prioritized the Open Cup.
2015 was Red Card Wedding.
Red Card Wedding, sorry, 2015.
Yeah, 2015.
2014
2014, they won the Open Cup.
Yeah. It,
I know,
the
I was there.
only year
In Philly.
that they put,
Philadelphia. Yeah. Like, sorry for not remembering every player that's ever scored a goal against anyone.
I'm not
in the
asking you to
Open Cup.
remember every player. I'm just pointing out that when you look at the rosters that enter those first couple of rounds,
First,
they
they're
look the
depleted.
same as
first
the
couple
roster
of rounds,
that has
I'm
David
just
Olsen
going to tell
on it.
you right now, to my face, Garth Lagerwey has literally said, we are not going to put players now in the way MLS has changed its roster rules and how money is the way the team did before, because A, you can't buy your way through it,
To host,
which
yes.
was a factor, and B, how much players cost. Like, they've literally said it. And wait, like, he, to my face, and I asked this question to him in a room full of our ECS leadership team.
The
and
S2
team
players
was
can play in the
great,
Open Cup, though.
Great enough to give us hours of Garth. And the feedback was, Garth thinks, in my opinion, the way he explained this, that going through to MLS Cup is not harder than winning US Open Cup. That's my read on his take, because we brought up Shield, we brought up MLS Cup playoffs, which, to be honest, in my opinion, it's probably one of the bigger crapshoots in all of sports. All of it.
We should know that based on what happened last year.
Especially now, you're going to go to single elimination
That
MLS
actually
Cup playoffs.
reduces the crapshoot. It means that the regular season is more important.
Okay, but we added another team.
Yeah, but only one.
What I would say on that is that
Shitty teams
you're
can
still getting
survive
more
the year,
of a
make
crapshoot
the
than the
playoffs,
playoffs.
and make a run.
No, 'cause they'll be on
Portland
the road the whole time.
2015. Galaxy multiple times. We've literally had this argument
No,
5 times on this show.
The
It is 100% a crapshoot in many, many seasons. Not every. Atlanta 2018. Great fucking team a lot of the year.
I mean, the Super Bowl is next week, and the team with the best record in the playoffs didn't, or in the regular season, didn't make it, just like they don't normally.
I'm gonna watch it. They're showing all the commercials today.
Well, yeah, there's.
But like, it's put it this way: you can't say winning CCL is a priority, winning MLS Cups is a priority, and then disregard 2 of the 3 possible ways to even make CCL. Deprioritize. I'm sorry.
what
Rationale when he said that. What was his
So for
rationale
that
when he-
specific game, which I agreed with, was the way the schedule was stacked up in and out because of
We're talking about
international breaks.
2018.
2018, because of international breaks and such, both early, mid, late season. The conversation was had about who was going to be available, who did it make sense to play. Am I ever going to go tell my coach, you have to play these players to win this match? And we all agreed, you know what, that's not how this should work.
And just keep in mind, 2018, the Sounders were in the middle of an injury crisis.
Right.
And
like-
so there was no, even if they wanted to play half of their first team, they were not.
You didn't get
they
out of
literally were not
March
able to.
before injury
Yeah,
crisis.
they were literally not able to play
it is
a
what
first
it
team.
is. And I think that's where
Even
a lot
if
of
they
us are
wanted to.
like, okay, 2018's its own thing.
Well, with the condensed schedule that exists this year, I think you're going to find the same thing. They're going to have to pick opportunities to rest their best talent, and that opportunity is going to come with the Open Cup because that has an expanded roster, because S2 players can be called up for up to 4 appearances in the Open Cup. So they're going to use those talents to provide depth so that the guys that have been playing double game weeks for 2 months are able to finally get a week off.
Although
so
the
you're going to
interest-
see the same thing.
Although the interesting thing is that the Open Cup falls in June, the first couple of rounds, I think.
During the
and-
Gold Cup, so
yeah,
most of the
Gold
best
Cup-
talent will be gone.
Yeah, so talent will be gone, but their Sounders will not be playing for the 3
Yeah,
weeks
but
during
Jordy
that
Delem will
time.
be gone. Jordan Morris will be gone. Christian Roldan will be gone. Nico Ladero will be at Copa America. Raul Ruiz will be at Copa America. Who else is going
Torres.
to be at
Which is why they're
Torres
taking 3
will be
weeks
at
off.
Gold Cup.
Boo!
Isn't there a change?
In case you didn't hear me loud enough, Dave, I said boo.
When we went from having the reserves, so I feel like the quality of backups was
Yeah.
higher when we had the reserves versus now our USL team are 15-year-olds.
Well,
Well,
I
yes,
think
they
this
did change the quality.
Good comment from
Off my. It was brought up that the Sounders reserves were nearly pros or kind of semi-pros on the border of MLS, whereas currently S2's roster is of the 16 players on roster, 12 of them are teenagers.
Oh my goodness.
well, I would say to
So yeah,
that,
the quality might be different.
I would say to that the quality of the players, I think, is much higher now for those kids than it has been in the past. just because, as Dave wrote about, we're kind of in a golden generation of our youthful talent. Well, I don't think we're just going to see 15-year-olds, strictly speaking.
Well,
we may see
Danny Levia.
Yeah, we'll see a few of them, but again, they're much higher quality than we were seeing in 2016.
But are they higher quality than Cam Lancaster, who was just signed for like a sizable number to move from Louisville to Nashville, for example?
That is something we'll see
Probably
here
not.
in the in the first
Are they
month
higher
and a half.
quality than David Estrada, who was signed by New Mexico to launch their new team?
Wait, hold on. Are we playing the if you want to win an argument, you name random player